wondering if that meant that Hawking thought that quantum mechanics really just needed to be revolutionized.
I believe so, yeah. I believe that he thought that, and I don't think that was a silly thing to think. If you're, when I was a high school student, I read a bunch of popular physics books, or I think my aunt gave me a subscription to Scientific American. So occasionally I'd get a little bit of like what people were like worried about in the world of physics, and I got wind of the fact that people wanted to quantize gravity. And so I tried to read a little more about this, and eventually it sort of, I remember that it felt unfair to pick on gravity. So if you have two theories and they're in conflict with each other, in this case Einstein's theory of gravity and the sort of general framework of quantum mechanics that worked so well in the world of particles and subatomic phenomena and so on, and they don't fit together, well, okay, it's clear that at least one of them has to be wrong. But why were we so sure it's not quantum mechanics that's at fault, right? Well, how come everybody is saying, oh, we got to quantize gravity, as if it's gravity that's the problem? We got to make it more like the other, the teacher's pet, quantum mechanics. And so this, I remember asking some famous professor even that I ran into, that he was Heisenberg's successor. Why is everybody wanting to quantize gravity? It couldn't be the other way around. I have no idea what he answered. He was probably like, who's this crazy kid? But Hawking had every right to say, look, I have studied an effect that has to do with quantum gravity. It can give us a hint, it can give us some information about what we should expect from a quantum theory of gravity that unifies quantum mechanics and gravity. And the hint is crystal clear. Unitarity is going to have to go. Now, of course, always when you overthrow some theory, you have to explain why it worked so well. So in Hawking's case, you would have to understand eventually why, if unitarity isn't fundamentally true, why it looks like it's true, most of the time. And people came up with arguments why that would be a very hard case to make. But it's not like that has never happened before. Every time we come up with a new theory, when Newton came up with his universal law of gravity, he had to explain why Kepler was essentially right about the orbits of planets. So he had to do a calculation in his new theory to see that comes out as a limiting case, as a special case. When Einstein replaced Newton's theory of gravity with general relativity, he had to do exactly the same thing again. He had to show how Newton's apparent, force law comes out of a theory in which there aren't even any forces, just curvature of space and time and things trying to go as straight as they can. And it is quite miraculous, to see a law that's, formulated even in such completely different language like Newton's force law emerge from these totally different concepts. And it's a beautiful thing, when it works. But that's definitely that's a test. That's the first test of your new theory. It's what, unfortunately, most crackpots who send me emails, don't understand, is that your new theory doesn't just have to explain some esoteric thing that we don't understand the answer to. It also can't just, we can't just give up on everything else that we've already explained. You have to recover all that stuff. And there was, I think, no reason a priori to think that couldn't happen. So I think from Stephen's point of view, I'm really guessing, I never asked him this, but it would have been very reasonable for someone to say, look, I've discovered that unitarity is not fundamentally true. Information can be lost in nature. It's a quantum gravitational phenomenon. And, when we have the full theory, we'll understand why it looks a lot of the time like it's not lost. That was to be determined.